Hello, my name is Keith. Welcome to my channel. Today's the first week of March, and today we're going to be looking for ferns at the Eleanor and George Poindexter Nature Preserve maintained by the Aspectuck Land Trust. It's a 40-acre preserve, and so we're going to go see what we can find. So here's the trailhead, all the information about some birds and some habitat. And here's the trail map. It shows an easement back to a field, back to a wetlands, to a pond, to a pine forest. So it looks like there's some things to go look around, and looks like a little footbridge over a river. Just a little walk down the trail, and we again start to see the invasive winged Euonymus bushes right here along the trail. So we've come to what they call the old field as part of the trail. The trail goes both left and right. And maybe we'll make a loop and see what we can see. Here we have a little meditation bench to the Poindexters, and a little marker for the Poindexters, and right underneath this enormous tree. Actually, it's many trees, not just one tree, many trees. Goes way up and up and up. So now we're going to do a time lapse around the field, just to show you what the trail looks like. And here we have a small group of Christmas ferns. And this is the fern we're seeing all the time this winter. Here's some more. And that looks like about, those three plants look like about it right here. Now we're along this long stone wall here at the side of the field, and here's our first non-Christmas fern. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. It can either be our marginal wood fern or evergreen wood fern. The marginal is twice cut. The evergreen is thrice cut. So if we look really closely, it would look like This is thrice cut, or 2.5 cut bipinnatifiid is the official name, being much more frilly than the marginal wood fern. And now we just kind of look around and see if we can find a sporangia pattern to help us with that. Here we go. Here's our sporangia pattern. We will take some pictures to identify it, and I may correct the video if I've got it wrong. So we've taken some pictures. We're going to see if we can get even closer with the macro lens. Lots of moss on this wall. Some more evergreen wood fern. Some more wood fern. Some Christmas fern. Nice and shaded, nice and cool. Here's a healthy specimen of, this is marginal wood fern. We can see that it's only twice cut. We look on the back, sure enough, we have the sporangia at the margins, not running down the center of the leaves or the costa like we did in the evergreen wood fern. Here's the rhizomes and the previous year's growth. So you can see how it makes a clump. See, all the active fronds are around in a circle coming up out of the ground. So here we have a sign, telling us about brush piles and how they're useful to the various animals in the forest. And now we're leaving the field and heading into the woods. And we can see there's a nice large outcropping of rocks over there. Probably Christmas ferns. You can see some signs of ferns from here, though they're not going to show up on camera. There are definitely ferns up in those rocks. And as we pan around, we see a lot of tree fall here. Here's the continuation of the rock wall. So here we can kind of stand and see the difference in the forest from when these walls were put up 200 years ago and what's in the trees. So see, all the trees are thin, not very big. There's a couple of big ones here and there. This may not have been used for farming. This may have been used for livestock. We have this big tree that's been allowed to grow right here by the wall, but we don't see any really big trees down inside the, see a lot of little ones and not very much dead wood. So we're still in the first generation of trees growing in here, and we definitely know that this was used for some sort of farming due to all the stone walls. We're having quite the conversation. I believe these are raptors. And we're coming down to the stream. Our aerial conversation has started up again. We turned on the phone app called Merlin to listen to the birds. And according to the app, we have a red-shouldered hawk making all this noise. This is a pretty good flowing stream. We've got some ferns right out there on the side rocks there. Looks like Christmas fern from here. But there won't be much ferns here because the water's running too fast. We have Christmas fern up here on the bank. Doesn't look like the bank floods too much. Some flooding. But I think the ferns would be a little bit farther back because they're going to get flooded over, at least on these rocks. But there's lots of moss, so if they get a hold quickly, maybe they'll survive. But this river may be a little bit too fast to hold many different species of ferns here. If you get some nice waterfall and some nice spray that's constantly running, then you can get some of the rarer Asplenium ferns that really need to have constant moisture. They're very short and small, but they need to have constant moisture. Here's a dead tree that's collected quite a few tree ear mushrooms and a few other kinds of almost shelf mushrooms. Listen to this racket. Ignoring the airplane, of course. Sounds like the frogs are already making their appearance. Well, here on this birch tree, we have this little QR code. It may be part of something called geocaching, not clear. I tried to link to the QR code on my phone, but I think it's so faded that the QR code doesn't read anymore. So maybe I'll inform the Aspectuck Land Trust that they need to re-tag these trees. But it has a little miniature and it has a QR code. It says, do not remove the tag or the miniature. So this would, not certain it's geocaching, but it's something similar. And if we move in closer, we can see that the tag is kind of faded. So here's the pond, and you can see that it's artificial, as there's quite the stacked wall holding back the water. Looks like it may have been just a bridge, built up to make a bridge, as opposed to a mill. But it's not clear. More likely, might have been a bridge, but see, the bridge wouldn't continue like that. So it was some kind of use of water. Here's another view from downstream. See, definitely it's artificial, but we don't know what exactly it might be used for. Whether it was for flood control, or for grazing animals, or mill work, but doesn't have the infrastructure downstream of the dam to make it look like it would have been mill work. It looks like it just may have been to create a place to hold water. Right up at the foot of the falls. This is the kind of spray that the more delicate ferns like. If you can see it on camera, the spray from the water hitting the bottom rocks throws water droplets up in a pattern downstream. And that's what keeps the rocks moist for the moss. But this is also a place where if a fern can get established that likes to have all that water, it'll have water all the time. But this time of year, I don't think we're going to find any signs of it. But I don't see any remnants of rhizomes or leftover anything that would say that we have a fern growing in these rocks. But this is the kind of place where you would look for them, where you have this constant spray being made available, or a constant drip of water. You can see the dam is leaking a little bit over here to the side. You have a little rivulet coming out from underneath the dam on this side of the bank. And here's the waterfall from above. So we're going to go back to the trailhead along the White Trail, and we're going to do it in time lapse. And here we are, back at the trailhead. So this is a small preserve, but it's diverse. We have a meadow. We have lots of large pine stands. We have an active river. We even have a dam. So our walk took us over there to the dam at the edge of the White Trail, and we found the QR code up on the middle of the left loop of the red trail. And yes, there's lots of wetlands, and then the field where we found our evergreen ferns. So quite the diversity for such a small space, and reasonably easy walking. There's some hills, but it's a nice place to visit.